So if you're watching on replay, and I know one or two people will be watching on replay later, then hello, and that's fantastic. Thank you for joining. If you are interested in participating, then it's not scary. Honestly, Joanne, it's not scary, is it?
No, not at all.
You're not mildly terrified yet. And it gives you an opportunity to promote yourself and your business. So there's a bit of me that says, why on earth wouldn't you? You know, it's a great opportunity to promote yourself. Just having a look, because it's easier actually if I check on the phone to see if anybody's watching, but I can't see anybody just yet. Oh, Fiona's joined us. Hi, Fiona. Hi.
Hi, Fiona.
And we thought that you said you weren't going to be able to join us, but I see you did your podcast thing yesterday. So let's kick off, because it's not great to keep people waiting. And also the people who come in on replay later on, they really, really don't want to sit there through the whole pile of people just chatting and, not getting on with it. So good morning again, Joanne. Lovely to have you here. Thank you for volunteering for this. So Joanne has a relatively new business called Resolve Human Resources. So Joanne, would you like to tell us about your business and how long you've actually been going for?
So very new. The business started on the 30th of April this year, so 4 and a bit months in. I work as an independent HR consultant, so the main focus of the business really is to help other small businesses with HR issues, whatever they might be. Whether it's employing people for the first time, they want to know what contracts, the sort of minimum stuff that you have to do to legally employ people and not get yourself into bother. So that would be one example of the services, from people who are established and they've either got problem employees that they'd like some help in managing and getting more engagement, or really good employees that they want to develop and retain and motivate to make their business better. So it covers the whole spectrum of HR issues and training as well.
Right, yeah. So what was your background before you started the business? Excuse me, I'm going to have a sip of tea because I'm losing my voice.
So I've worked in HR for over 20 years. Way back, I studied law, left university and went to work in a light bulb factory on the shop floor. So I didn't even really know what HR was at the time, but I got a lucky break into HR there. And for the last 20 or so years, I've been providing HR support through manufacturing businesses, engineering, industrial, a little bit of accountancy and professional services. So quite a wide variety of companies, small and large, and a range of HR issues.
Right.
So yeah, 20 plus years, and took the decision earlier this year to go out on my own. And so far so good. Really enjoying it.
So good. Yeah. Well, we'll come on to some of the challenges of starting a new business a little bit later on. But presumably, the fact that you have got a lot of background in engineering is sort of irrelevant to HR. HR is HR, whichever industry you're in. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I mean, you can, everybody who employs people has a need for HR. Whether it's just a 5-minute chat, which is fine and great, or whether it's months and months of project work doing restructuring. So if you employ people, at some point in time, you will have a need for HR. It doesn't matter what sector, how small, how large.
Do you find some, how can I put this delicately, resistance from some business owners in terms of their responsibilities?
Sometimes, yes, absolutely. Some people get it. Some people are a bit more evolved and realise that if you treat people well and you reward them in the right way and you give them opportunity, then they are going to work harder for you and be more loyal. And when the chips are down, they'll really roll their sleeves up and help. Other people maybe see their employees as a little bit more of a commodity, which is a shame for the employee, but it's also a shame for the business because they're not getting the best out of the people. And I think for me, we've all worked in companies where you've worked alongside people who are really, really focused, enthusiastic, good employees, and you wish everybody was like that. And those people you really want to hang on to and not lose and keep close. But we've all worked in businesses where there are people who turn up on the dot, leave on the dot, take their full lunch break, not flexible, just hard work. And the good employees see those employees, not being challenged, not being taken to task, and maybe their motivation goes a little bit. So for me, if it's all about trying to make the best of the good people and improve those others. And some businesses just don't get it. They shy away from the difficult conversations with the troublesome employees, and they completely ignore the good workers because, well, they're doing a great job and I don't need to worry about them. So engagement's a big part of it. And some businesses really get it and they're bought in, and other businesses it's just a bit more tricky. But you get there.
But presumably that's one of the kind of things that you can be doing is stepping in and having some of those difficult conversations. I know it can't be all the time, and sometimes it has to be, the business owner or the manager who is stepping up. But certainly, presumably, you can kind of head some of it off at the pass at an earlier stage.
Absolutely, and I think for me, it's all about influence and persuasion. If you can explain to people the benefits for their business of acting in a certain way, it's up to them. If they own the company and they decide, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not going to do it. It's their company. HR aren't there to force people down a route they don't want to go, but it's just about demonstrating the value that you can add. And the sort of consequences, good and bad, of acting in a certain way. So that's how I like to work. I like to talk through, if you go down this route, it might be quicker, but here are some of the problems. If you go down this other route, it might take you a bit longer, and here are some of the benefits. You decide.
Do you also get involved in recruitment as well? So do you help?
I do.
Help with recruitment,
I do. I'm not a recruiter to trade, so there are other professionals out there who, absolutely that's their bread and butter. But I do get involved in recruitment, so I can help small businesses if they're struggling to write, a job advert or a job spec for somebody, or if they want, tips on interviewing. And because if you're a small business owner, it's really, really important that you hire the right people. One superstar in a small business can, really help the growth. One, maybe not so professional employee can slow the business down. So they need to get it right. And what I can do and what I have done for businesses is write little structures for interviews, write job specs, give them some coaching on interview technique, and just help them get the best out of that recruitment process.
Sorry.
No, there's always
a slight lag. So that's why there's sometimes a slight pregnant pause there. Sorry, I'll let you finish the sentence.
I was just going to say it improves the chances of them getting the right person. And if they hire the right person, then it's easier to manage and peace of mind.
Yes. So you started 5 months ago. So what's been your biggest challenge since you started?
I think for me, strangely, the HR part has been the easiest bit. It's all those other things you have to do as a small business owner that you don't really think about before you start. So in terms of the accountancy side of things and making sure that's all on track, the website, for me, that was the biggest challenge, and it was the biggest sort of headache. I don't have those skills. Thankfully, there are other people there that do these things very, very well. So yeah, definitely the non-business side of it, getting out there, making sure that people know who I am and what I do and what I don't do, being visible, networking. I didn't realise 6 months ago what a thriving networking community there was across the country. There are events, 3 and 4 times a day, it seems. So so networking for me was a bit daunting, but actually I've really enjoyed it, and I've got so much help and support from the network, from the Facebook page here. That's been great, but that was a challenge at first. So yeah, the bits that you have to do that are nothing to do with HR, IT. So again, the tips and techniques that we've had through the group have been great because my IT skills were slightly limited. They're getting better.
I think we all have this amazing learning curve when we start up in business, and to be honest, in many ways, it doesn't really slow down because there's always something new to learn.
Yeah.
And I suppose, I think that it's when you maybe get to that tipping point of sort of saying, well, I've now got some money coming in, so maybe I can outsource little bits of it just
Yeah.
to kind of free up a little bit more time as well, even if you're not ready to take on staff yourself.
Yes.
It's not always what people want to do. There's quite a lot of people who will, I mean, myself included, who I'll outsource, I'll work with associates, I'll refer business to other people who have a complementary skill set. I'm not really at this stage wanting to grow this massive sort of corporation with hundreds of people.
Yes.
I often wonder whether that's the way it will go more with younger people who start up businesses now, because I think they have more of that collaborative mindset rather than, wanting to build massive empires. But
yes. Yeah. So it's definitely a different approach, and they seem to have so much more confidence. So yeah, absolutely.
So yes, and I guess from a recruitment point of view, I mean, young people get a very bad press, and you will know as well as I do that there are some absolutely fabulous young people out there,
Yes.
and some absolutely terrible young people out there. But you can say the same of 40 and 50-year-olds as well. And
Absolutely.
but I think the thing is that they sometimes have a different mindset, but that's maybe a good thing to bring into a business. I know that I've attended seminars which say that diversity of every type in, age, gender, sexual orientation, race, colour, creed, whatever, diversity in a business is a very, very, very good thing, and how much businesses who embrace it really, really thrive.
It can only broaden your business and just the opportunities and the ideas. It's fantastic. One of the companies I'm working with just now have a great reputation for recruiting apprentices, boys and girls. It's a construction business. And some of these young people, interviewing very young people is very interesting because some have nothing to say at all. And it's tricky to really, get anything from them. And then others, what they've seen and done, 17, 18 years of age. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. And they come in and they work hard and they're so enthusiastic and they have a career plan as to where they want to go and really challenge. So,
so there's a friend of mine who's actually recruiting volunteers for Euro 2020 next year. And there's an interview process for that. And that's exactly what he said as well. He said there are some young people who come in and they've clearly, there's shyness and everything as well, but it's trying to get them to talk about themselves. Whereas others, he says, they come in at 20, and he's in his 60s. I think they've done far more in their short lives than he's done. So, but it's all good. It's all good.
I think there's definitely something that the schools can do to make sure that the people who can't make eye contact and have nothing to say, just to prepare them a little bit more for interviews, or maybe that's something for industry to do. I'm not sure, but certainly something could be doing with some coaching.
I mean, I think that's why the Developing Young Workforce programme, one of the reasons it exists is to, and I don't think Rachel's on here, I might flag her to watch it later on. She works with DYW in Forth Valley. I don't know whether you've met her.
I haven't met her, no.
Yeah, and that's why she comes out networking, because she wants to find business owners who will do stuff like that, who will provide apprenticeships and internships and all those kind of things, but also go into schools and spend time and help with interview skills and help with saying what careers are available, because sometimes I quite often you go to get your eyes tested or something. This is just me, and I sort of look at the optometrist and think, I wonder what made you decide to become an optometrist. How did it come into your head that was a career that you could have? Because there's so many careers out there that people just don't know about. I think apprenticeships, and I know so many young people now who are doing apprenticeships and it's a fabulous thing, absolutely fabulous. And these, is it the foundation apprenticeships where you're still at school?
Yes.
And I think it's, university is not for everybody.
No, and I agree. And actually, I think, I did go straight to uni, but I think if I was doing it over again, possibly not.
Yeah.
Possibly not. It was a good experience, but you weren't earning. So earn and learn apprenticeships would be a good option. And it's a shame there aren't more of them. So
I know. Yeah. So I think we've kind of covered most of the things. So I think the one thing you were saying is, because as just for people who are watching who have not been through this process, we do have a little bit of a chat beforehand, so it's not scripted. As I think you can probably see, we just chat naturally. But we do have a chat beforehand, and I get you to fill out a wee questionnaire so that we have a rough idea of where the conversation is going. So sometimes I just kind of pull myself back to make sure we've covered everything that Joanne wants to say and get her point across. So you talk very much about the fact that you are very much tailored to the individual customer and not just providing one of these one size fits all services.
So, I think that, different businesses have different HR needs. And for some people, having, a help desk there 24/7 just to answer whatever query is absolutely what they're about. And there's lots of businesses out there that do that. For myself, it's much more about a tailored approach. So meeting with a customer, talking to them about what they think they need. And if it's not something I can provide, being honest enough about that, and I've got some connections that I can refer business to if it's not sort of within my own skill set. But one of the reasons I became self-employed was to work more closely with businesses. So getting into the business, part of the team, understanding the structure, working to a set of objectives or outcomes that the client wants. But once you're in there, if you see something else that you can do and change and help with quickly, then you just do it. Yeah. No fuss, no nonsense, it just gets done. And I think for me that works. That sort of personal connection and being more involved is definitely, what I want to do. I think one of the reasons I left the bigger corporate world was because it was too impersonal. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's about that personal connection, and people will either take to me and how I work, or they won't, or they'll want a bigger team available 24/7, which is fine, but that's not me.
No, but presumably, if somebody sort of says, yeah, they're happy to engage with you and they want that personal service, how do you handle? You have to have some downtime and some holidays, but people might have a really burning issue while you're away. So, how do you sort of reassure them that there's cover in place or whatever?
Yeah, so I guess as an example, I was on a mediation training course last week, which was quite intense. So there wasn't a lot of time for emails or phone calls. But the client I'm working with just now, I'd explained that to them, and I was checking messages. So if there was anything urgent, I wasn't too far away. But from a holiday point of view, I think most things can wait. They definitely can wait. But I do have some really good connections that I've met just through networking over the last few months, and a couple I would say that are now friends. So it's not just a phone. It's somebody that I know and I trust. That if there was an emergency situation, I wouldn't have any hesitation to pass the work across to them. So that's how I would handle it. I think when you work for yourself, you're not going to go away for a week and not check and make sure everything's okay. So you're not switching off entirely. But if there was something that needed, sort of boots on the ground, then I've got some people that would pick up the work and do it well.
Fabulous. There are some questions or comments coming in. I'm not sure. I think that's probably Fiona. The problem is that it's in StreamYard, you have to kind of click on something to tell them your name at the start. And if people don't do that, it just says Facebook user.
Okay.
So I think if you're very different when we're young, so many are so confident, love that about them, but we need to address the ones that aren't. Yes, that's true. And then this is pretty much definitely, oh, I can do this. I could do, oh, I can look at that.
Wow,
Oh, I'm trying
that's
to
interesting.
address the issues of independent home-based businesses being able to take on a foundation apprentice. Yes, talk with MPs and councillors. Right. Okay.
Great.
Fabulous. Well, yeah, that sounds really good. I think that probably is Fiona. So,
I think it is because
yeah,
she's desperately keen to take on a young person, and just been sort of, there's some obstacles there in terms of working from home and health and safety and some other
yeah.
bits and pieces. So
So if
keep plodding on.
somebody does take on an apprentice in that way, I assume a lot of the HR type stuff is handled by whoever's doing that placement. They wouldn't need to engage you as well, or would you?
No, they wouldn't necessarily. So most apprentices, you sort of got four parties in the relationship. You've got
Right,
the employer, you've got the apprentice, you've also got a college element. So if they're
right,
getting some sort of NC or HNC out of it, and then generally there's a training body that looks after the apprenticeship as well. So if it's a construction type apprentice or a plumber or a
yeah,
hairdresser, there'll be a professional body in there. So the college will give feedback to the employer. The trade body will make sure they're learning the right things at the right time, so that their qualification is, enables them to work safely and
yeah,
competently. So there's four people involved in looking after that apprentice. But if there's, there are sometimes HR issues about maybe timekeeping and attendance, or if maybe there's some mental health issues or family
right,
issues or behavioural issues at work. So quick pieces of advice here and there, but you certainly wouldn't need somebody full time.
yeah, and things like contracts of employment and things like that are
Yeah,
not
yeah.
are all covered elsewhere. Yeah, yeah,
Generally, yes. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so this is always just your chance to big up the Business Success Society. So I always like, and people are always really, really, really generous with their, with their praise. So just if you just want to say, because it's not all about me, it's about the group, and
Yeah.
the reason I want you to shout out is the fact that it's about the group, and it's not really to sort of say, oh, Kat, you're a mate. It's
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
the group. So just to finish off, if you can tell us what you love about the Business Success Society.
So, firstly, absolutely, you put the most effort into it. I don't quite know how you manage to find teachers every week, new tips and techniques for everybody, but for myself and my limited IT skills, I do find that really helpful. But I think beyond that, it's definitely the camaraderie and the support. I haven't experienced it yet, but I know it can be a lonely experience running a small business, especially if you work from home. And people are always on hand to give out help, give encouragement, tips, support. We're all looking out for one another, and I absolutely love that people I've never met are there and available to help, and so giving of their time and knowledge. I don't know where else you would find that. I
Yeah,
really don't know where else you would, or find it easily.
yeah. I mean, there
So
are one or two groups. There's quite a lot of us are in one or two different groups on Facebook where that's kind of happening, and they all have slightly different kind of, I suppose, personalities. Do you know what I mean by
yeah,
that?
yeah,
So, and it's the same with consultants and coaches. So I focused very much in on the process and sort of not so much the technology, but using the technology as a tool, but process focus. Whereas other people will focus much more on mindset or purely on
yeah,
marketing or
yeah,
those kind of things. And groups kind of be a bit like that as well. They all have a different kind of
yeah,
flavor to them, but
yeah,
it is nice how people are so supportive. And as I say, that's what I will say. It's not just about me; it is about the other people
yeah,
in the group. And every so often, people that you'd kind of forgotten were members of the group will pop up with a gem, to
yeah.
support somebody, which is fabulous.
I think that's
So,
one of the
yeah,
things about being a small business owner. You can devote time to this stuff. If you're working for a big company, as I was, you can't just help out people at 11 o'clock in the day that need a little bit of help because you're just in your corporate bubble and not aware of it. So it's a great opportunity to help other people as well as get that help yourself. I love it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And it hasn't been a scary experience, hopefully.
Just a
So
little
if
bit.
anybody else would like to, then please just give me a shout and we can have a chat about it. We do generally do it on a Friday because that's our social day. But if somebody had a burning desire to do it and they, for whatever reason, they can't do Fridays at all, then that wouldn't be an issue at all. So I will draw it to a close now. Thank you so much. That was Joanne,
Thank you.
Joanne Hadwin of Resolve. We didn't talk about the name, but it was a great name, Resolve Human Resources. And this will be published as a YouTube video. I'll chop some of the stuff off the start where we were burbling on. And thank you very much, and thank you for everybody who was watching live, and hopefully those who watch later as well, and have a fantastic Friday and a fantastic weekend. Thanks very much. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.